Hey, everybody, and welcome into the Sporting Kansas City show. I'm Aly Trost, joined by Carter Augustine, and no Nate Bukaty this week, enjoying a much-needed vacation in the mountains. If you're listening on podcast, wherever you get that, or via videocast on the 810 Facebook or YouTube page, we thank you for tuning in each week. And Carter, we've got a jam-packed show today. So let's start a little bit of bad news, which maybe not totally unexpected, but the U.S. Open Cup has been canceled. What was your reaction to the news?
I think, it's just so sad, right? I mean, you look at everything that's gone on this year, and like you said, it wasn't unexpected, but the fact that it's going to end such a long reign of a continuously run soccer tournament here in the United States, I think it's something that we should be very proud to have had a tournament that ran that long consecutively. And I'm just really sad. Completely understandable from all. It seems like it'd be a logistics nightmare. The teams are already going to have a tough enough time as it is getting all the games in. So a bit of a casualty of 2020, and just add it to the list of casualties this year of stuff that we're having to miss out on. So yeah, I'm very sad. What about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a tournament that, especially for Sporting Kansas City fans, they've seen a lot of success with this club in recent years. And it's just always a fun part of the season. You, especially with a club like Sporting, get to see a lot of the younger players with significant minutes. And so that's something that I know will be missed. While a lot of those players did get time in the MLS's back tournament, always a bummer to see any sort of soccer canceled in 2020 or beyond. So hopefully, fingers crossed, nothing that will trickle into 2021. But we also have some good news. It's game week. Sporting Kansas City and Minnesota United opening up part 3 of the regular season, phase 1 of this continuation, Major League Soccer, starting with a phased approach. And Sporting Kansas City, Minnesota United this Friday, 6:30 p.m. You can listen to that game on Sports Radio 810, the play-by-play broadcast with Nate Bukaty, Jacob Peterson there. Carter, where will the game be aired via television?
Yeah, Fox Sports Kansas City Plus on Friday, 6:30. Wow, we're right back, right?
I know. I was like, oh, what do I have this week? Oh, game Friday night. Okay, let's do it. I feel like it's flown by. We waited for soccer for so long, and now even the break between the MLS's back tournament, when Sporting Kansas City was eliminated and returned home, that time from then till now seems to have completely flown by.
Yeah, it really has. These past couple of weeks, and who else but Minnesota to get things started off with? It's a running joke now. I feel like we're playing them for 42 times this year, probably. So I think after the game down in Orlando, the players little peeved by the result, just because they played so well until Tim Mealy got sent off. And so I wonder if there's, we talked to Roger Espinoza last week. He said it wasn't revenge, but it's like more about righting a wrong that they feel happened. So I think they'll be pretty well motivated against this Minnesota side.
Yeah, absolutely. However, as we know, Ike Opara missed out in the MLS's back tournament, former defender for Sporting Kansas City and a huge part of this Minnesota United team. He will also be out, it's very likely, at least per reports, for this Friday's game as well. The reason for that still unknown, but that will be a huge loss for Minnesota United as they try to continue their season. But always a great game between Sporting and Minnesota whenever they play each other. And like you said, the players for Sporting will be looking to pull one back after a very disappointing loss, 2 stoppage time goals in the MLS's back tournament, to have Minnesota barely sneak away with the win on that one, a 2-1 loss for Sporting. Their only regular season loss. It's kind of hard to keep track of which games were regular season games, which ones weren't, but that was a game that counted towards regular season and Sporting's only loss of 2020, technically, if you're looking at the books.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned Opara being out. They had a couple other players we've talked about that missed, that are big, and they actually might or probably will feature in this game for Minnesota United, getting those guys back into the fold, and a bit of a new challenge in terms of what happened in Orlando versus what's going to happen on Friday. So they are a little thin at center back still, because the new signing isn't quite ready to play yet with Opara out. So I think we'll probably see that same partnership of Aja and Boxall. And Alan Polito, he played really well against that partnership in that game in Orlando. So I got to think they'll be dreading the matchup with Sporting's number 9 heading into this game on Friday.
Absolutely. And as we know, in the COVID times we're all in, depth is everything. Availability is key. And if you're lacking in any position, that can be quickly and easily exploited by another team's strength. So that is an area that Sporting Kansas City will likely dominate on Friday. And more good news, in addition to it being game week, there's also something that Sporting Kansas City and MLS fans have to look forward to. Airing tomorrow, 10 a.m. on Bleacher Report Football is the Academy series. This is made in collaboration with Audi and Major League Soccer and is going to feature the Sporting Kansas City Academy system, which to me is an incredibly informative series that is much needed for people to really understand what goes into making these academy systems successful, and what better club to feature than Sporting Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm excited for this, Aly. I think it's going to be really cool. And like you said, SKC Academy is looked to by a bunch of teams in MLS as to what they've been able to accomplish. Just setting up the affiliates all across the Midwest, and they've had some success as well, being able to bring players through like Daniel Shallowy, like Gianluca Busio, like Cam Duke. We've seen Jalen Lindsay. I mean, the list continues to go on, and hopefully we'll see some more of these youngsters coming through the ranks. I'm really excited for an inside behind the scenes peek at the SKC Academy.
And for more on the Academy coming up later on in the show, we will actually talk to Sporting Kansas City, to midfielder Jake Davis, a product of the Sporting Kansas City Academy. Incredible stuff from Jake. I mean, I'm just always so blown away by the maturity of these young kids who take their careers at such a young age so seriously, and with just so much passion, determination, and you get that from Jake, and just him relaying his experience and what's really working with this Sporting Kansas City Academy. And we've seen that firsthand with players like Gianluca Busio, Jalen Lindsay, just to name a few. And they will not be the last, that is for sure, because there are so many great players coming up through this system. I just want to read a part of the release for those who are looking for more information on the Academy. This series will provide an all-access look at the commitments and sacrifices that young athletes make to become professional soccer players, highlighting the youth talent development system used by every MLS youth academy in North America. The 5-part series will give fans a first-hand account of how MLS youth academies and Audi are working to ensure the next generation of athletes are ready to compete at an elite level. So it's going to be awesome. But Carter, you have the best pulse on everything going on behind the scenes at Sporting Kansas City. Can you give us a look behind the curtain at what's gone into the production of this series?
Yeah, I think we have to give a lot of credit to Bleacher Report, because they've taken the lead here. And I think, first of all, they and Audi have picked, like we talked about, Aly, a really good club to focus on to do this series. Now, it presented some problems happening during a pandemic, so hats off to them for coordinating, getting everything set up, being able to do some of these interviews with the Sporting KC Academy kids, some of the coaches as well. So a big credit to them. I know the people here are excited to allow Bleacher Report and Audi behind the scenes and behind the curtains. So I think it's a massive undertaking to happen during this pandemic. And I don't know about you, but hopefully, just another thing, hopefully we can get through this, and then with that in mind, they'll be able to just get a little bit even deeper in terms of the coverage they're going to do on the Academy. But a big credit to them for putting this on, and I'm going to be tuned in. I can't recommend it enough. I think all sporting fans will be really excited to watch this.
Absolutely. And like you said, you can only do so much over Zoom, even the best of the best. It's so much better to have that on the ground look. And that's something that I know Sporting Kansas City fans will especially appreciate, getting to see what the day-to-day dedication looks like from these players, and not just them, but the coaches as well. So that is coming up tomorrow. 10 a.m. is when the first episode airs. So set your clocks, because you do not want to miss that. And coming up, like I said, later on in the show, we will actually talk to Sporting KC Academy product Jake Davis about his experience in the Academy, what brought him here, what differentiates it. A lot of great stuff from him coming up. also later on in the show to talk a little bit more about the upcoming game against Minnesota United on Friday night, as well as some MLS bubble talk. I mean, I don't know how much, Carter, how much longer can we milk the MLS is Back tournament bubble? This might be the last time, but we talked to Graham Smith about that. He has some great tips and comparisons with golf and soccer. So a lot of great stuff from Graham Smith, a player whose role is continuously evolving with Sporting Kansas City. So get to hear what prepared him for his starts in the MLS is Back tournament. Again, great insight coming up from Graham Smith as well. So we will take a break. And when we come back, we will hear from Jake Davis more on the Academy series airing tomorrow on BR Football. You do not want to miss that. I'm Aly Trost. That's Carter Augustine. This show is brought to you by Michelob Ultra, and we'll be back after this break. Welcome back into the Sporting Kansas City show. I'm Aly Trost, joined by my co-host Carter Augustine. No Nate Bukaty this week, but now it is time for our Xfinity feature of the show. Are you tired of searching for sports updates in different places? I know I am, and you can experience the Xfinity Sports Zone, the ultimate sports hub, where you can find games, news, and highlights all in one place right on your TV. It is that easy. So now joining us for this week's feature, we have the great pleasure of being joined by our special guest, Sporting KC2 midfielder and Sporting KC Academy product, Jake Davis. Jake, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Doing well, doing well. How has your quarantine life been? We've gotten to talk at length with a lot of the guys on the first team about their experience being down in the bubble. What's it been like for you these last couple of months?
Well, I think to start off when I went back, so when quarantine was mandatory, I went back to Michigan, and none of the team was together, and I think that period felt pretty long for sure, just being away and adapting to how to stay fit, especially when we're not actually training, because fitness when you're not having the ball or when you're not at the facility, it's kind of hard mentally just to keep up with it. So, but I think as a team, we managed to do well with that. And, we all communicated, and we use this app, Team Builder, to stay updated on what we needed to do every day, whether it was conditioning, lifting, an off day, just stuff like that. And during that time, the Academy actually, they also adapted. They do Zoom technical sessions. So for a couple of those, I hopped on just so I can get some work with the ball. So when we got back to training or doing small group stuff, I wouldn't be rusty, because that wouldn't be good. But then that time passed, and we started individual training, and then after that we went back to bigger group, and then full group training, and then from then on, things have been going pretty well for us, I think, just as a team, and how hard we've been working, especially because it's not an easy thing to go from quarantining by yourself to coming back as a team, expected to play 3 games in a week, especially because that's not normal. But I think
Right.
as a team, dealt with that pretty well, and staying on top of being fit, mentally being ready for the next game. And we only have 1 home game, so especially being on the road a lot, being on the bus, leaving one day and coming home the next night, it's tough. But I think as a team, and I think for myself, we're working really well to just adapt to that. And we're the road warriors, so I mean, you got to take pride in that too. So
A lot going on for you guys, a lot to touch on with you. And I want to get to one, that home game coming up this weekend on Saturday here in Kansas City, and the fact that you guys are road warriors. But first, you had a big moment for yourself during the quarantine, signing your professional contract. We got a chance to catch up with you since then. So what was that feeling like, and kind of what was the weeks leading up to that?
Well, I mean, of course it was a really special moment, and I think being home, especially with my family when that happened, it was pretty cool too. I mean, obviously it wasn't, the ideal situation that I thought I'd be in, but, it worked out for the best, and especially signing it with, my parents standing next to me. So it was a really good moment, I think. And especially just, I was in the academy 2 years before there, 2.5 years. And, in that moment, it was just a really special moment. You've worked really hard for, especially, not just signing the contract, but just the work that you've done to get to be the player you are and the person. It's a good moment for myself at least. And, when I first got here, you think, my goal is to sign a contract. Of course, that's everyone's goal. But really, when you sign the contract, that's when the hard work starts. That's when it really matters. That it's really tough grind work leading up to it, but it's even more when you sign. That's when it really matters. That's when you're there for the club to help to win, help your teammates get better, help the coaching staff get better. You're part of the club now. So, but I'm glad I can be part of that. I'm glad I'm a part of this club, and I wanted to sign that contract. So that's what I was really determined on, and I'm glad I did it. So
Jake, let's focus on the academy. What differentiates the Sporting KC Academy, in your opinion, based on what your experience has been like with an academy system like the one at Sporting Kansas City?
Yeah, I've been with Sporting a while, but I also saw a couple different type of academies. I went to Portland Timbers on trial, and I played for Vardar Academy. And obviously Vardar's, not an MLS club. It's just more of a basic academy. But, I think what makes Sporting different is that it really has a true pathway to becoming a pro. And, there's a lot of speculation on different academies. Like, is it very clear? Is it consistent? Do players get opportunities? Because, sometimes it might be unfair for the players, or that's what I've heard. But I think Sporting makes it clear that when a player works hard, they're playing well and they're determined that they'll get that opportunity. And, not just for myself, but when I see other academy kids or guys who are pros now, they've gotten opportunities, and those are the guys who, made the most of it. And I think not just the opportunity aspect, but I just think how a lot of, there's different ways. There's two different things that I think make it special. The coaching staff, and I think how they handle things. And what made it more of a comfortable move for me was the host family program, because my family didn't move with me. And Betsy Maxwell did a really good job of helping me settle in, go to a school with all my teammates, find a good host family, stuff like that. And that's just stuff that, like, I have no idea how to handle that. It was a whole new thing, and she really got me in welcome. Same with John Perry, making me feel welcome and making me feel like I can, accomplish something here. And for sure, it was a new experience, but they made it easier for me, and especially my teammates too, who I went to school with. But in another aspect, I think the coaching staff really, they really dig out like a player in you. You come in, and then you sign to be someone else. You know what I mean by that? Like, I came in, I had a different bit of a path. I came in hurt, so I didn't just start playing right away. I was hurt for about 3 months when I got here, and then I started playing. And the level from Vardar to Sporting is way different. So it's kind of like hitting a brick wall first for me. But I think there was a coach here named Michel Ribeiro, and him and Rumba Muntali, those guys, and, of course, all the other coaches, but those guys really, they test you. And I think one of the bigger things in the academy is, what is your reaction when stuff doesn't go your way? How strong is your mentality? Are you going to just stop and, quit if someone bashes on you, or are you just going to say, okay, all right, move on, get the next one? And that's what I think Michelle and Rumba taught me really well, is how am I going to react? Because you're not going to have a good game. You're not going to have a good practice, 7 days out of 7 times a week, So, and I think over the years I got more comfortable with making mistakes and maybe not having a good day, because I knew I would trust myself that I'm like, okay, next day I'm going to work harder. I'm going to keep going. Nothing changes, And I think that's what makes Sporting different. That makes Sporting different. How the coaches, talk to the players, dig out that pride, and like, do you really want to be a part of this club? And it's important, because even though when you're in the academy, you can get very complacent, because it's Sporting Academy. I'm part of the Sporting Academy. This is sweet. You can get complacent like that, or you can do that and also, be like that off the field. But when you step on the field, you're like, okay, I'm gonna win. I'm going to do everything I can to help this team win. And I think that's what how a lot of the younger guys who are pros now, that's how they got there. And that's what makes players different, who make it and who, end up maybe going to college or taking another pathway. So, but that's what's important. I think that's what the coaches get out of you. And, even if you're not getting that out of the coaches, you're definitely learning something new you're taking something out of being here, for sure. Whether that's working hard, having that just endless pursuit of trying to get better, whatever you do, It doesn't have to be on the field, but off the field. And it's stuff like that you can learn here. But I for sure think that the sporting academy differs from other stuff just because how they're organized, how the coaches treat, and how they, teach their players and guide them to what it takes to be a pro, and just how, the passion and the culture, not just in the academy, but in the city, So, and I'm glad I joined for sure. It really made a big difference in my life. So.
That's some wonderful insight. Again, we're talking with Jake Davis, Sporting KC 2 midfielder, and it's come up through the SKC Academy. And Jake, that leads me into part of the reason we're having you on today. It was announced today, the Bleacher Report series presented by Audi, the Academy. It's going to debut tomorrow, Wednesday, August 19th at 10 o'clock Central on Bleacher Report. An in-depth look at the SKC Academy. I think a lot of us have high hopes to see what's going to be in this thing, and you yourself are a big part of it. What was it like? The cameras going in around. Have you watched any of those shows before, like Hard Knocks or anything? And what was the experience like being on the inside?
No, I actually haven't, but I know it's airing tomorrow. I actually did an interview with them, but yeah, I mean, it's exciting. Honestly, I'm excited to see what other people think too, and it's definitely interesting. I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad I'm a part of it and I can be a part of that series and, say it that I was in the sporting academy. So it's cool that it's getting recognized now because it for sure deserves it,
Yeah, I know. We're all looking forward to watching it. I got a sneak peek, and it is, I think everyone's going to really enjoy it. And shout out to the production team, too, having to put together that first episode all done via Zoom because of the pandemic. So episodes 2 through 5 will be shot, hopefully, barring any setbacks, in the next couple of months here. But, Jake, I want to focus on something else that you were talking about, and that's the pathway. And the pathway to the pros is something we hear a lot with the Sporting KC Academy. And for you, getting to see some players in the MLS's back tournament like Felipe Hernandez, Gianluca Busio, some of those players getting minutes and getting opportunities, what kind of motivation does that give you, and what your future could look like with Sporting Kansas City?
Yeah, I mean, it just showed because those, I know both those guys. They're great guys off the field and on the field. You always want them to be on your team and stuff. But I think those guys, especially, they're workhorses. They don't really give up, and they're always looking to get better, whether that's in training or on the field. And I think those guys both deserve to be on the field, but they also just set a good example on, they're both young guys, and it just shows that you can get there when you're a younger age, for sure, But yeah, I mean, not just them, but there's guys like Jalen, Kuza, and Cam Duke. Those guys, they've gone from the academy, Swope, first team, and those guys just, it's not just for me, but I think it's for any of the academy guys too, that it just shows that, you can do it. If you really set your mind to it, you can. And I know all those guys, they work hard, and they've worked hard to get where they are. So, yeah.
Since this is our first time talking to you on the show, Jake, I want to know what got you into soccer growing up. What was kind of the pre-Sporting KC Academy Jake Davis like, and how'd you want to follow this career path?
Well, I would say my family is a bit of I have a bit of a soccer family. My dad played in the indoor league when he was younger, and my mom, she played in club when she was little, and she coached soccer. But I would just say that I think my whole family has a passion for soccer, and I think a lot of the buddies that I had when I was little had a passion for soccer. And I don't know the exact day, but I'm just sure one day I said, I was like, can I play for the green team or some little league team, just something like that with the pug goals. Ever since then, it's just always been something that I love doing. And my dad, he's in the soccer business too, and he sees people. He looks at younger guys, and he can see, he recognizes when a player can do stuff with, what they have as like their skills and what they want to do. And I think when I was 14 or 15, he asked me, he said, do you want to do something more, or do you want to, keep playing for Vardar, go to the college? And, I took this pathway, and I think, it's not just something that it's not like a job. I don't look at it as a job, like it's just something I love doing. And I think that's what makes it better for me. And I mean, of course, in a way I look at it as a job because, every player has to perform and, I want to do my part on the field. That's because that is my job. But when you love something that you do and you have passion for it, it makes it, it just doesn't feel like anything less. Going from the academy to the first team or to Swope, whoever you're training with or whatever, it doesn't feel much different because I'm playing soccer. And, the only difference is maybe the level, but I still, love doing it. So, yeah.
Did you have any soccer idols growing up? Or who were your favorite players growing up?
I don't know. When I was little, I just liked soccer. Like, I didn't really look up to one person. I think maybe David Beckham when I was little or like Lampard. But I think looking at it now, there's guys in Europe like Ramsey, like Tony Cruz, stuff like that. But, now that I'm in sporting, you kind of look up to the guys who play in your position. So maybe for me, like Roger or like Felipe Hernandez and stuff like that. You go to those guys and you see what they're doing on the field to try to, help my game out, do it in the USL games. So, yeah.
Jake, you've been in Kansas City since 2017 now. What are your favorite things about Kansas City, and have you adopted any things that you may not have thought that you would have? Have you switched any loyalties with any pro sports teams or anything like that?
Yeah, it's actually a good question. So, I mean, I was here when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. I mean, that's what a moment. I mean, I'm from Michigan. No hate on the Lions, but they're not very good. So, I mean, that was a pretty cool moment, especially, the parade. School gets canceled for that. Like, I mean, it's like a holiday, it's sweet. But, I mean, I love it here. I mean, I've been here for 3 years. I've been to the plaza. I've had some real good barbecue, stuff like that. But, yeah, I mean, I live in the Overland Park area, and I go down to the plaza, to the Kansas City area sometimes, and I love it here. So, yeah, I for sure have gotten used to living here.
Well, you haven't seen much of Kansas City over the past couple of months since you guys have been just living on buses, I think, here.
Yeah, sure.
What was your reaction when you saw the schedule, and then how has the first seven or so games of this thing gone? 5 or 7 games.
Yeah, I mean, seeing the schedule, I mean, I was a bit shocked. Like, I think we were all expecting to have a couple home games at least, but I think as how I look at it, it's like, okay, this is the cards we're dealt. Okay, we're gonna deal with it. It's kind of a good moment. It's like kind of trying to prove someone wrong. Okay. They sold our home games. Okay, we're going to go out and still no difference. We're going to go out and try to win as much as we can. And I think for sure we've improved on, from last year. I think, we have a pretty tough group. It's not an easy group for sure. Indy's probably one of the best teams in the league along with Louisville. And St. Louis is a tough opponent too. And I think we've done, a decent job of, facing them and giving them a hard game. We beat Indy a week ago and they haven't lost in their home stadium in 2 years. And we also, it's not just we're going there playing kickball, we're playing good soccer, and we're finding a way to win, like, for how we play. And I think, we're halfway there, and there's still a lot to go, and we still have a lot to do, and there's still more games left. There's 2 spots to get to the playoffs, and I think that's 100% our goal because we know that we're a quality side, and we can compete with those teams. And we're not, I think there was a lot of speculation on us. We're kind of, they were saying that, we're just a 4th place team. There's nothing expected of us. But I think we've definitely proven our first 6 games that we have something to offer and we're there. We can get in the playoff spot, and we're a good side. We're a young team, but we're a good team.
I love it. Hey, that's the mentality that you got to have, right? Every single day, whether it's in soccer or in life. But Jake, thanks so much for the time. And just a reminder to everybody to check out the SKC Academy series. Episode 1 will air at 10 a.m. on Wednesday. It's going to be great. You get to see Jake. You're going to be a star of the show in one of your interviews. So be sure to check that out. And again, Jake, thank you so much for the time. We'll be watching your games with SKC too. And we're going to take a break, and we'll be back after this on the Sporting Kansas City Show. Hey everybody, and welcome back into this week's Sporting Kansas City Show. I'm Aly Trost, joined by Carter Augustine, and now also joining the show, Sporting Kansas City defender Graham Smith. Graham, how's it going? How is life back in Kansas City outside of the bubble treating you?
It's good. No complaints here. Just back to more of the usual. Nice to be training back at the beautiful Compass Mineral Sporting Park training facility.
That sounded pretty close to me.
It's good to be back there. I think I added a word or two in there, but yeah, it's nice to be back. Kind of getting back into a routine, so it's good.
I thought it was interesting. Just about every single person I've talked to, including Carter, who has had a few weeks back at home outside of the bubble, has mentioned driving being a thing that they miss the most. Did you miss being able to just drive your car?
No, I did not. I personally loved just walking out to the bus. They take you where you need to go. No worries there. The first time I got back in my car and we got back, though, it was a little bit of a relearning experience. So that was a little different, but no, I did not miss that, Carter.
I was going to say it was fun the first time getting back in, like you said, a little bit of a learning experience, maybe some red lights that got tested a little bit. So for those listening on the radio, I just want to paint a picture for you. Graham Smith has a very interesting portrait over his left shoulder, and maybe can you describe the picture that is in frame, Graham?
Yeah, so it's a beautiful backdrop of the Denver Broncos stadium. Picturesque skyline in the background. Looks like in this photo they were playing the Houston Texans, and the score looks to be 14-10. So probably that game was probably, if we were winning, probably 2 or 3 years ago.
So I imagine then when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, that was insert the blank. What was your emotion? What were your emotions following that?
Neutral.
Neutral. Okay. That's fair.
That's
better
fair.
than, better than
I figure because I'm here, I couldn't be a curmudgeon, because you kind of root for the next team. It was kind of I wouldn't say it was my second team, but it was cool to see them win.
So have you gotten to see the Broncos and the Chiefs play in person since you've lived in Kansas City?
No, I haven't. I think they've played here twice since I've been here, and I think both times we were out of town or something. So haven't been that lucky.
Not quite yet. Yeah, I was curious because training camp started up. I thought that might have been a subliminal message placed there in the background. So thanks for that description.
Yeah, of course.
So can you take us back to the bubble? Just kind of what was your overall experience being down there? How would you rate it?
I really thought it was really well done. Everything was kind of accounted for there. They did a really good job. It was the first time that the league did something like this, and I thought, they did a pretty good job setting it up. It was kind of like spur of the moment, but I think more importantly, all the coaches and all the players and all the media that went out there really did a good job in preparing for it beforehand. There are obviously some different cases where, it's hard to control. It's a pandemic. You don't know what's going on. But I think that overall it was a really good lesson in kind of keeping your bubble and doing what you have to do to be able to be out on the field. So yeah, I thought it was really good. Personally, being in the bubble, I don't know about you, Carter, you probably had a lot of work to do. You're taking a lot of photos, a lot of media stuff, a lot of putt commentary. But I personally loved it because I just, went out and trained, maybe had a workout, ate some food, watched some Netflix, watched some golf videos, just kind of hung out in the room. So it was cool. Back
to those tournament days, right? Growing up, playing soccer, going to a tournament and hanging out with all your friends, playing soccer. But Graham, I want to stick with the putt-putt because Carter told us that you're a pretty good golfer. So I'm curious, when did your love of golf develop and how long have you been playing?
I've been playing golf. I got the golf bug really bad my probably junior going into senior year of college. Before then, I had played before, but just kind of like casually with my friends. I didn't really love it. And then for whatever reason, I just got really into golf, probably my junior year of college, and just wanted to play a lot. It's something I really like, just going out and practicing. I don't even have to be playing around. It's just nice to get out there. Yeah, something I really like.
So you were watching some golf help videos back in the room when you got back in Orlando?
Yeah, so I don't watch golf help videos. I
Okay.
like to learn on my own. I like watching more so course reviews where you see different courses around the world. I think those are cool.
Yeah. What's your review of the course we played down there?
Well maintained, a little mundane. We were playing through a bit of a torrential downstorm, so we didn't see as much of the course as I would have liked, but it was nice. It was a good setup.
Golf and soccer, clearly two very different sports, unless you're talking soccer golf, which I did used to play at a couple of camps growing up. But
Sure.
with one being, such an individual sport, it's such a mental drag, to stay mentally composed throughout the entirety of a match, whether you're playing 9 holes, 18. How do you take some of that mental aspect of golf and bring it into your soccer game?
That's a good question. And I think that the best way to describe it is when you're golfing, sometimes we'll go up to a hole. There's 2 parts to this. The first one is maybe on hole 1, you had a double bogey. You played really bad. Equate that to in soccer, you make a mistake, you turn over, you read a play wrong. You go on to the next hole, you have to put that behind you because it's done with, it's over. Same thing in soccer, you kind of need to put those mistakes behind because if you don't, they're just going to compound. And then to get real technical golf nerd here, there's a lot of risk versus reward in golf. Like, do I go for this shot? Do I take the riskier shot and then it's easier for the next? The same can be said in soccer, risk reward with passing and with decisions, whether to step, especially in my position. So it's not a direct correlation, but there are definitely some similarities between the two.
Love that question, and very well said and answer. Well, I think you'll probably be the last one we ask about the bubble because it kind of feels like it's time to turn a new page on this season, and that starts this week. You guys play on Friday against Minnesota. We asked you about life back in Kansas City. How have the last couple of weeks of training gone after you guys found out the schedule and the kind of the mini regional group that you'll be playing in for this first phase?
Yeah, I mean, it's just back into I think the best part is getting back into a routine where you can kind of prepare. You have something to prepare for going into a game. So that's nice. You can kind of get back into that schedule, which is good. It's nice having something to play for because when we were training before the MLS back tournament came about, you were just kind of training to train. You knew that something was going to come up, but you didn't have a definite goal that you were looking towards. So it's nice now that you have actual games that you're attainable.
The MLS is back tournament was huge for you as your role with the club really evolved during your time down there. 3 starts in those last 3 games. You were part of 2 clean sheets. How does that experience help provide you some motivation or maybe confidence now going into this next part of the continued Major League Soccer season?
Yeah, well, I'll start even before the tournament kicked off because the quarantine period was really important to me because I was able to reflect on the season and the preseason that had happened and saw kind of stuff that I needed to work on. So during that quarantine period, it would have been really easy just to like kick my feet up and just like hang out. Instead, I was actually thinking about this yesterday. For probably 5 or 6 days a week, I would get 3 different sessions in throughout the day during that quarantine period, whether it was generally it'd be a run and then I'd go to the field, work on some ball work or something, and then a lift because there was nothing else to do. So just putting in all that work when we came back and then we were doing the individual trainings and team trainings, I knew I had a good foundation and good base, and that kind of gave me confidence. And then that led to good performances in trainings, and eventually led to the 3 games in which I thought we played pretty well. Definitely stuff to work on, but it definitely gives you confidence in the game performances themselves. But I think more importantly, it's just the confidence that you've put in the work, and you're in the best situation possible to perform in those situations.
You guys are in a pretty great situation in terms of the league standings in what will be a shortened season. How's the confidence level of the team? I know a few guys I've asked about being first in the West, and they brought up the point of being really close to the Supporter Shield standings as well. Where's the confidence level in the team now as you head into this game against Minnesota?
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I think that we're in a good spot. Like you said, we're top in the West, but our goal is to be top in not only the West, but the Supporter Shield, because, hopefully this season gets played. It's looking like it will, but you don't know what could happen. There are so many different variables that if, God forbid, the season ends at a certain point, we want to make sure we're at the top there at that point. So, just taking it one game at a time, all the cliches, all that, but we want to make sure we're at the top there.
One unique variable too is that this will be the first game that Sporting is traveling to since the season opener way back in what feels like 8 years ago in March. What are some of the protocols that the team is having to go through ahead of that departure? Is it on Friday? What's the travel look like now in this very unusual world that we're all in?
Yeah, so the game is, 6:30, I think?
Yeah.
I believe our plan is to leave Friday morning, get in there, hang out a little bit, pregame meal, play the game, and then come back. You look at the Nashville and Dallas games, I think that, I don't know this for sure, but I'm assuming Nashville had a similar flight schedule, and they performed really well, so I don't see that being a hindrance to performance, the travel. If anything, maybe it makes it a little bit easier because you're just kind of getting in and out, and it's easier in that way. So, yeah, that's the plan. It'll be interesting. It's when you're flying private, it's like not a big deal at all. Makes it super easy. So that'll be good.
I'm going to clip that soundbite and play it out of context. When you're flying private, it's not a big deal at all. And so
and then just like dollar signs flying down.
Sunglasses come down over Graham's face.
Send it to like NetJets or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely use that out of context. And you guys are playing Minnesota United. Is there, of course, they're the one team to take points off you so far this season. Is there a little bit of a sour taste in the mouth from how that game ended down in Orlando, and them being the only team to beat you so far in the regular season, I should say? Sorry.
I know that you guys are really pumping the whole nicest rivalry in soccer, huh? No, I mean, yeah, they're a really good team. They did beat us in the tournament, and yeah, I mean they're a good team. We have to be ready. They're obviously very good on set pieces, so that's a point of emphasis there. We need to be locked in there. But yeah, you're definitely going into the game knowing that you have a quality opponent, and I think if anything that'll make us come with that much more focus and that much more attention, because we know that it's definitely a worthy opponent.
Graham, my last question for you before we let you go. Thank you so much for the time, but what's the chemistry been like between you and Roberto Puncic there, anchoring that center back position for Sporting Kansas City, and how do you see that progressing even more this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we have 4 or 5 guys, you can throw Fontas in there too, who are all kind of interchangeable is not the right word, but serviceable with any of the other pairings. I think that we have a lot of qualities that complement each other, and then there are a lot of different pairings that you can work within the group. So it's a group that we have a lot of depth in, and everybody's kind of pushing themselves there. So it's probably the best. How am I going to phrase this? When you have competition in a position, it brings the best out of those players. So it's really good for the team there.
Absolutely. Well, hey, we'll look forward to watching the game on Friday, 6:30 at Minnesota United. Sporting Kansas City starts part 3 of their regular season, continuing in this next phase, phase 1. Carter, I know will be looking to snag some more photos. Graham, maybe not the center of attention today in training, but we'll be hamming it up for the camera for Carter, for sure.
Don't need that. Keep it away from me, Carter.
Too good. All right. Well, Graham, thank you so much for the time. We're going to take a break and we'll be back to wrap things up after this on the Sporting Kansas City Show. Welcome back into the Sporting Kansas City Show, presented to you by Michelob Ultra. That's going to do it for us. Carter, any final words? We survived a show without Nate.
Oh, I think we thrived, Aly.
We didn't just survive. Maybe we'll just be like, hey, Nate, yeah, we're recording the show next Tuesday at 2 p.m. and we've already got the whole thing done. We started at 10.
That's right.
Didn't get the invite.
The old Wally Pip. He's missing the game through injury or vacation, and there he goes. I thought that was great stuff from Jake Davis and Graham Smith. So yeah, heck of a show, and really looking forward to the game on Friday, getting things restarted, back in stadiums. Exciting times.
It really is. And it feels like it's all happening so fast, while at the same time, I mean, when I look back on 2020 personally, I don't know if I'll be able to properly look at it from the right chronological order in which things happen, because I feel like it's all happening in this weird blender and I'm just getting spit out at the next thing. But I'm beyond excited. Friday night, 6:30 p.m., Minnesota United, Sporting Kansas City. As Graham Smith was joking with us earlier in the show, the nicest rivalry in sports is coming your way. Fox Sports Kansas City
Plus? Yeah.
Fox Sports Kansas City Plus is where you can watch the TV broadcast and you can listen to that game on Sports Radio 810, as well as the final whistle show, which will start right after the game, post-game press conferences. You won't want to miss that either. For Jake Davis, for Graham Smith, for Carter Augustine, I'm Aly Trost. This has been the Sporting Kansas City Show, and we will see you right back here next week.